Dragon Ball, horror, kaiju, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews. Hey, howdy, hey there, collectors. It's going to be Steven here, and welcome to another Super 7 reaction video. We're going to be taking a look at their reaction figures for Godzilla, and these were Godzilla Day drops, and I think you can still pick them up directly from Super 7. Links will be in the description, so if you do want to check them out, you know, I got my referrals, so check them. We do have vintage toy color repaints, which this makes my heart happy for many reasons we will talk about. We do have an Imperial Colors Godzilla 84. We have Bullmark Gigan and Bullmark Rodan. They are just vaguely referenced as vintage colors for those characters, but this is what we have, and I am super duper excited. Why? Because not only do I think that these sorts of things Super 7 really excels at, but I like to have these because they're like toys for my toys, you know what I mean? So the more of these, the better. And we'll talk about my thoughts as we continue on. So let's take a look to see whether or not they're going to be worth adding into your collection. Since some do like to keep their reaction figures carded, here is what they are going to look like in the card still before we go ahead and crack them open. So we even do have a reflection of the vintage toy colors on the picture on the back of the card. So there we go. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to save the best for last. It's going to be the Imperial Godzilla, so stick around for that. So first and foremost, we do have Gigan. And I don't think that Gigan is necessarily weak per se, but I am a little bit upset that he has a little bit of a beak rub there. Yeah, it's a little disappointing. We can see the paint underneath, but I guess it goes with the vintage feel. Gigan is rather simple and straightforward, with some blues and reds and some tan colors. Gigan really does look very, very cool. And aside from just that little scrape on the beak, which I don't know if that was the case from when he was pulled out of the packaging or what, again, the paint apps are rather simplistic in idea. In execution, they are rather nice. We do have some nice paint fading and shading when it comes to the torso of Gigan. And then for the limbs, we do have that sort of tan or, I don't know, beige coloration on the underside of the tail and the feet. When it comes to the sails of Gigan, they simply do just look like a red color. But closer to the base, there is actually going to be a little bit of a black spray, which does make the figure look good. We also do have the mandibles, I guess you might call them, which are going to be a white as well. I do think Gigan looks good, but for me, I'm going to have to say he's probably going to be the weakest of three rather nice figures. We have Rodan up next, which is going to have that same sort of tan-ish color for Gigan there, which was used, but we do have the blues, which I would say is going to be Rodan's base. Rodan is also going to have a strong silver coloration with some red eyes, and that's really, really cool. I think Rodan does stand out very nicely and is going to be my second favorite in the set. No real quality control issues when it comes to the looks of Rodan, and actually the sculpted detail does pop really, really cool on the shelf. So if you are a fan of Rodan and you do like some of the vintage color or vintage tribute stuff that Super 7 does, I think this one will pop very, very nicely on your shelf. Now, the one that you've probably been waiting for, my favorite, and something I've been hoping Super 7 would do in some capacity for some time, the Imperial Godzilla. 84. Nice. So this one I actually think is a little comical and a little bit overboard, but nevertheless, I think he looks really, really good. We do have some silver paint for the main body and for one row of dorsal plates on his back. I think it would have been really cool if they were somehow able to get a little bit of a silver bleed over for some of the other dorsal plates. And it does actually only work for the main row of dorsal plates on his body. So when we take a look up at the head or down on the tail, that silver paint does stop. So if there could have been just a little bit of a fade, if you will, sort of like they did for the Ultimates, that would have been nice as well. But nevertheless, it still looks fine. And we do have white paint for the claws on the hands and on the feet. The Joker marks on the mouth look really, really cool, though is it accurate? It's hard to tell because depending on which Imperial Godzilla you got, it may very well be. Don't get me wrong, even though this figure is green, there is going to be some black spray and shading throughout the figure to enhance some of the finer details of the figure, and I really do like it. The articulation for these three are going to be identical to the original releases, so we can just kind of show them here on screen. What I will say for these three is that Rodan had a notable quality control issue for the first few releases, for the original release and the glow-in-the-dark, with the wings. I will say for my particular unit here, the wings do seem to be a bit more sturdy and they are tightened up more, though the right wing on Rodan tends to flop a bit more than the left wing. So I don't know if that's just a matter of paint is in there and it tightened it up a bit or whatever the case may be. Though Rodan still has a little bit of an issue of falling over. Likewise, same figures, just repainted, so here's going to be a side-by-side comparison with some other figures you may have so you get an idea of how big these dudes are going to be. Buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Generally speaking, folks tend to find ReAction figures to be a bit overpriced, and I am inclined to believe, and most of the time, I would not pick up ReAction figures. Some of the ones that I've had previously, again, as I noted, were provided by Super7, and that was the reason why I did review them. I would have waited for a deal more so, particularly in my case, but hey, you know, I did have a chance to look at them. For these in particular, I was sold immediately. As soon as these dropped for Godzilla Day, I picked them up, and I would like to see Super7 do these in Ultimate format in some way, shape, or form, more so particularly the Imperial. I think these are great, and these are exactly what Super7 does very, very well, and I am over the top pleased. So if you are looking to pick this up, any of these, they are available not only at the Godzilla store, but they are available directly from Super7's website. So if you are looking to pick them up, I do have a referral link in the description to Super7 store directly, and you can pick them up today.